Old Geelong Gaol is the oldest intact 19th century prison left in Victoria. It had 6 executions, 2 of which were public in 1854 to a crowd of 2,000 people. Some of Australia's most famous criminal underworld figures, dating back over 100 years, along with many men, women and children, were incarcerated here. We join the Twisted History team who run regular paranormal tours at Old Geelong Gaol for an investigation of what is said to be one of Victoria's most haunted locations.
Don't be afraid.
Geelong Gaol opened in 1853, closed in 1991. So it originally had male and female prisoners right up until 1900, and then the female prisoners would have been sent to the female prison in Coburg. It's had 6 executions associated with the jail. The first 2 executions were outside of a place called Gallows Flat, which is just outside near the roundabout, which was a public execution to which over 2,000 men, women and children would attend. After that, it was decided it was a little barbaric, and the next 4 executions would come inside the walls. It was an industrial school for young girls between 1868 and 1872, and that was because the other industrial school here in Geelong, the Ryrie Street Industrial School, which was down the other side of the hospital, was found to be overcrowded, and because of the gold rush, there was lots of parents were going off and leaving their children behind, and we had lots of young girls out on the streets were doing getting drunk, prostituting themselves, all that sort of stuff. So they were sent in here to become proper Victorian young ladies. It only lasted for about 4 years, and then it was decided that perhaps it wasn't the best place for them, especially considering that the young girls were down one end of the prison while the male and female prisoners were still down the other end. We've had a few famous prisoners in here. Some are our favourites and probably not as famous to people outside the walls like we love them. But Chopper Read was here for 2 stints in the 1980s. He was believed to be up in cell 101. We had Jason Moran was also here for a short stint. We had, I've gone back with his name. Mr. Death, anyway, one of Kath Bettingill's sons was here as well for a short period. Back in the early days, probably one of the more infamous prisoners that I love because it's associated with Squizzy Taylor, is Angus Murray. Angus Murray was up in cell 73, which is on the 2nd level here, and he was put in here for armed robbery, but he made an escape. He was actually a trusted prisoner, so he was working as a clerk, and that gave him a little bit better access to a few tools, and he used those tools to actually chip away at the bars in his window. When he chipped away enough, he actually used his blankets to be able to drop from the 2nd level onto the ground. He managed to get out over the fence, and it was rumoured that he was picked up by Squizzy Taylor. One of the other urban legends associated with him is that he actually went into town and had dinner right next to the chief of the penal department here in Geelong before he escaped back to Melbourne. Now, he was captured at Squizzy Taylor's house, but in the time that he'd been outside, he actually had taken part in what became known as the Glenferrie train robbery. And that was himself and Richard Buckley would rob the bank manager Thomas Berryman at the Glenferrie train station. Unfortunately, things went wrong. Buckley shot him and Berryman would die 3 weeks later. But because they couldn't find Buckley, Buckley disappeared for 7 years. He was eventually found in Ascot Vale wearing a woman's dress. But because he disappeared and somebody needed to be found guilty, they actually executed Angus Murray for the crime, even though he never even pulled the trigger. And he was the final execution on the gallows at Old Geelong Gaol before they moved to Pentridge. We had Clark and Farrell, the 2 of our more famous prisoners. When at 2 o'clock in the morning they asked Warder Kane to bring them a quart of water. Just all human rights stuff, and we didn't have enough water and all of that. But what Kane made the mistake of leaving the hatch down on Clark's cell, and when he did that and went off to get the water, Clark actually used a skeleton key that he'd fashioned by sight from the warder's keys to unlock his cell, unlock Christy Farrell's cell across the road, and then they went back in and made it look like they were still locked up. When Kane handed the water through the hatch, Clark grabbed his arms and Farrell burst out of the cell with a rock and threatened to bash his brains in. With the key, they managed to escape through the west gates, through the grounds of the Supreme Courthouse that used to stand next door, but they were both captured about 3 weeks later. Both those men would have different periods in here, but they were in here for most of their lives, and both of them would actually die in the jail up on the third floor. Die in the hospital, sorry, up on the third floor. The other part of that story is the fact that when the courthouse was demolished in the 1940s, they found a brass skeleton key, which was believed at the time to have opened every cell in the jail in the 1880s. But John Hassett was one of the main ones. He was working in the infirmary when he made a concoction of belladonna, arsenic and something else, and ingested that poison and would commit suicide. The interesting thing about Hassett's story is when we actually looked back into his story, his father was also a prisoner here back in the earlier days. He was incarcerated at one point as a lunatic. He was also incarcerated into the Kew Lunatic Asylum for severing his penis in a fit of insanity at one point. Henry Cutmore was one of the more famous ones. He's actually still left a reminder today. There's a dent in one of the beams on the second tier, and that's where he threw himself over as an 80-year-old man with cancer in the elbow. He supposedly threw himself over the third floor tier and landed on the slate floor below, which is a drop of about 7 feet. He took 3 days to die of his injuries. Okay, so there's a number of resident spirits that we know here. One of the more common ones is the little girl that's supposed to sit on the east wing stairs. She's believed to have been one of the industrial school girls. We believe she's still looking for her parents. Quite often when she's around, we get the smell of lavender. She hasn't been seen for a little while though, so it'll be interesting to see whether you guys pick anything up with her. We have Butch that works out of the surgery. He was a prisoner that used to act as a dentist and also a barber for the prisoners here back in the earlier days. Butch is quite partial to a bit of alcohol.
We decided to shake things up and do something to get the attention of any of the past inmates that may still be lingering. Jeff Painter was in a cell at the end of the West Wing, using a technique known as channeling and automatic writing. Spirits came from all directions and had a lot to say. Are you calling your friends? Is that what you're waving your hand around for? Are you calling them to come and have a look? Hop down, come down here. Are you a child? It's okay, you can come close to us, we're not going to hurt you. Do you want to come and hold my hand? I won't hurt you. We're not like those men.
It was like what they're doing in there, like it's never been seen before, sort of thing. So it was like just spirit has come from everywhere to go into the shower block going, what's going on? You know, why is this energy so different to what has been there before? And so it's almost like they were keeping up to try and talk. It was almost like it got to the point in there of just too much shit going on, so it just severed.
Some of the messages Jeff was receiving were of negative nature, such as swearing and also sexually explicit. Someone thought our energy projected a motherly energy. The name Steve Rogers and the date 1932 came through, and also we were told a spirit did 5 years for a crime he committed to feed his children.
We've had the hospital, the original hospital at the top of the stairs. That was a hospital right up until about the 1920s. So it used to have a room for lunatics. It used to have 2 8-bed wards on either side. We've just now put beds back up there now to make it look like a hospital again. It actually had a hot and cold running water too, which was an innovation in 1867 for the prisoners, and it was actually pumped up from the ground floor up to there. But on investigations there in the past, we've actually seen the figure of a nurse standing behind a group sitting on the floor where everybody else was sitting. There's a very clear figure of that.
One of the photos we took entering the old hospital room produced an image of what seems to be a man with sunglasses and something in his hands which is vertical. The door bolt is horizontal.
Prisoner, are you here with us tonight? I want you all to muster. I'm just going to turn this on. Is there someone here with us? Now's your chance to be heard. I note that the rain is dripping outside, it's quite loud. There's a bell just out in the hallway. Can you give it a tap for us? Can you go towards one of them and light them up? It's just to confirm that you're here. We don't want to harm you. We just want to communicate. What's so significant about this doorway? Do you not like anyone in your doorway? What if I stand in your doorway? Oh, wow. What if Daniel stands in the door? Do you not like anyone standing in your doorway?
You know, I've just completely lost my equilibrium. I'm swaying back and forward. I don't know what it is about this threshold here. It's just weird. I'm starting to get a massive headache.
Why are you making Daniel feel like that? It's not very nice. You don't have to knock from this room if you don't like. You can knock in from the other room. Shut a cell door from down the hallway.
You can knock on the window if you like.
Can you smell that?
It smells something I just can't
Describe.
narrow in on what it is. I smelled it when I was in the doorway.
You know, that smells like infection. That's what that smells like. Did someone get murdered in here? Tell us your story. What really happened in this room? Did you do something to deserve to be beaten? What happened? Only you can tell your story. We have a little device here on the chair that you can talk into. Did that annoy you? Did you ever look out the window and see freedom? Did you hear the difference in that noise then? Just out there? Did you hear that? No, it was kind of like a squeal or cry.
Yeah, it was definitely
Something.
yeah.
That's not a whistle. Can you whistle for me again? Hello?
First thing first, can you get your mate to shut up and go in the room?
Is there anybody here that wants to actually communicate with us?
Really, 5 sequences. So,
Well, that's not normal. I've got a full battery on the end as well.
yeah.
Who told you to turn off the camera? Who walked behind me? Jeff saw you, so can't hide. Do you like my big knife that I brought you? I know you're here, so how about you light up one of these devices, or move these lovely rods that we've got right next to me, so I can cut you a piece of cake. What was that? Did you hear it, or was it in your
What was that?
It was like a whirlwind.
Like a white rock
Yeah.
for about a second.
Yeah.
We didn't touch something back
Over your head. Hey, who's touching? Who's touching Jack? What's your purpose here? Why are you still here? You're not as invisible as you think you are.
Pressure in the chest.
No, the name is not called. That's not called. That is not called. What do you reckon if I bring some holy water in here? Did you know that?
Didn't know. Didn't know. We both were really not.
How about I ask Archangel Michael to come down? God's warrior. How does that make you feel? Well, you don't actually belong here. So why are you here? What's your purpose? State your reason. If you have no reason, and you have no authority, obviously not from the light, why are you here? At this point, we realised that something negative was playing with us and luring us closer to go out of that room. No, you can't do that. Jeff doesn't want you to. You don't have his permission. You don't have permission from any of us to touch us or use us in any way. We moved across to the morgue. It is said something negative occupies that area. None of us expected what we were about to capture. That's where it goes, isn't it? These are sickly feeling, disgusting, filthy, fucking everything wrong kind of thing. Oh.
So Mary, if you're in here, if you want to communicate, step forward. We know that your intent is good. We know that you're looking for your lost child.
Mary, as a mother, I can't imagine what you're feeling. If there's a way that we can help you, can you show us how? Tell us how. Please stay out. Because I'm here. Are you getting that?
Might as well cut to the chase. Okay. A little while ago, there was a lady that would come through, she did a sort of tours, and then would come through when Rotary were running the place on the place during the day.
Yeah.
Because basically she got barred by Tristan. And she, because I like to see the positive in everybody,
Yeah.
I'm assuming she was thinking that she was helping spirits across
Right.
by opening portals left, right, and centre.
Oh, okay.
Right. So there was a lot of really dark activity in the kitchen, and that's specifically why I and a couple other people came down, and it was to basically close a lot of the portals that had been opened, and it's a portal, it's a direct doorway down, and that's where they come and go from.
Okay.
The amount of energy and divine lights and stuff that poured into it was just incredible. And it was like just in a beanbag. Like, it was very, very, very full on. After we did all that, the dark activity in the kitchen stopped, and that was now 20 a year ago, and it's recently started to act up again. So there's going to be more work afoot at some point, but I haven't been steered in any direction whether I'm going to be involved in the next lot, I don't know. But if and when it arises, come back and do some more.
Yeah. Right.
But
That energy is very dominating, like you said. It's really dominating. Our camera picked up the entity that Jeff was talking about, and I could see. In the actual room, you can see there's nothing there that could project such an image. We used our own special filters to verify what can't be seen by the human eye.
Yeah, and that's where I believe Mr. Nasty comes from.
Yeah, that's likely. That's very honest.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's three of us in here that are very energy sensitive.
Yeah.
That's why everything else is just gone. Well, I can't do it here because they're trying to show their presence and power.
Alright, follow me. I'm going to Oh, yeah, you get back by the city, that's okay. I don't care what portal's open here. You go back. Go back to where you came from. And that is not coming from me. That is coming from the Holy Divine. You are not welcome here. You can't hurt me. I have Jesus by my side. Who have you got? The divine is brighter and stronger than you are. So with that, go back to where you came from. And when I walk out this door, you do not follow me, you follow nobody. You return to where you came from. Jeff, do you want to see if you're able to walk back in there?
No.
No? Okay. Before reviewing the footage, I drew what I saw. This negative entity has been wreaking havoc in the jail and did not like our presence there.
want this whistle to be really loud so we can hear it. Okay. Maybe if we whistle different. There's a noise coming from that corridor. Alright, one more time I'm going to do it. So this is a chance to be known. Did you?
Yeah, that's not dripping.
That's not dripping.
Exactly.
That's
That's
down
down
that
the
way.
exit.
Do you want to walk? Yeah. Yeah. There. Now it's that way.
Yeah, thank you, Jason.
Huh? No, it's this way. I can hear that. Master!
Okay, so there's a number of spirits, resident spirits that we know here. One of the more common ones is the little girl that's supposed to sit on the east wing stairs. She's believed to have been one of the industrial school girls. We believe she's still looking for her parents. Quite often when she's around we get the smell of lavender. She hasn't been seen for a little while though, so it'll be interesting to see whether you guys pick anything up with her.
We left a camera running at the east wing stairs for the entire night until the battery went dead. We left some toys there and hoped to get some activity from children's spirits. The orbs that we got there were amazing. Was this the little lost girl? Was it any of the children? We really don't know.
There's like bit of pressure on the left hand side towards the back of the head. It feels like it's a piece of wood, baseball bat, that sort of thing. Not like a knife or a shiv or whatever, like it's a blunt force. It wasn't killed in here, but like beaten even to the point of brain damage. Guards down at the door watching. It's 3 guys. About 1890, early 1890s, 92, 93. Stole food. Yeah, couldn't walk properly afterwards. Like they're proper, but they never intended to kill him. They just intended to teach him a lesson. Simple mind afterwards. He wasn't supposed to be here at all. Can you give me a name or a better name? But surname's Collins. Yeah. Yeah, like C-O-L-L-I-N-S. So it was sort of like Collins. The guard keeps walking past the door, looking in. He's looking at us now like not for Collins. He's very, very weak energy now.
What's going on? Slow down, slow down. Clearly say what's your name. What is your name?
Final execution here was Thomas Bernard in October 1865, and he was left struggling for up to 10 minutes after he dropped through the gallows, which was found to be acceptable.
Okay, I've slowed it down so I can hear you. Can you please tell me your name? Why did you throw the shelving off? Was that to scare us, or is there a message you want to convey about Geelong Gaol? There's something you want to say straight now? I'm so upset. Oh, it's laughing. Are you human? I'm going to ask you again, what's your name? Are you here from Geelong or somewhere else? Am I upsetting you? If you're still here, tell me your name. Clearly. I don't think you're a threat. I think you're just playing games.